Hello and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Udit Hinduja, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a new space race sending satellites to low Earth orbit, popularly known as LEO. It's the orbit that's the closest to Earth, and today it's the most valuable. Why? Because everything from internet to imaging to climate monitoring, it's all happening in LEO, and that's where the world is investing. Indian founders believe that this is the country's next global tech play. What was once entirely controlled by ISRO is now being built by private startups designing everything from satellites to rockets and ground systems. What's changed the most is access. Satellites that once costed several crores can now be built for a fraction of that price. Startups are designing components in house, using industrial grade electronics, and building entire systems locally. And few companies embody this shift better than a startup in Hyderabad called Take Me to Space. I met the founder, Ronak Kumar Sumantre, at his lab in Hyderabad.
Hi, I'm Ronak. I'm the founder of Take Me to Space. As a company, our aim is to build data centers in orbit. Right? We truly believe that with the increasing demand of compute terrestrially, it is just impossible to cater to the human demands anymore. Today, data centers already consume 3% of the world's produced energy. In the next 10 years, it is going to consume almost 90% of the world's energy. So it is impossible to cater to the human needs by building data center terrestrially. Now, the reason we are building in an orbit is because in orbit, you get energy for free. So if you can set up the computing infra at a much lower cost, much lower capex, it's a very profitable business to run. And that's our aim, that over time, we should be the one building the next generation AI infrastructure in orbit, because AI, of course, requires so much of compute, especially for training. Now, as I said in this whole thing, that it is important to minimize the cost, because if I can minimize my cost, I can give it to my customers at much affordable pricing. And that's where our work across the last 4 years comes into play. We are the only company which has built all satellite subsystems that is required to power a satellite, designed, manufactured all by us in India here like we did it ourselves. Now that helps us fundamentally reduce cost. Like we have reduced the cost of satellite the satellite that the size we're building will easily cost like 6 to 7 CR. We have brought down the cost to less than 1 CR, right? And that makes us give our offering to our customers at a much affordable pricing. Now, just to give you an overview, right? Like the basic subsystem, there are a few of them out here. Now you can see these are it's called the wheels, right? Which control the orientation of the satellite as it orbits around Earth. And so these are the wheels, again, designed by us, manufactured here in India. These are the battery packs, if you look at it. Now, they're made up of a different material, of a different polymer, which ensures that the heat produced also stays inside, so I don't spend so much energy in the cold temperature to keep it warm, right? So small innovation that makes a lot of difference. We have our own electronic power system, the onboard computer. I personally come from a computing background, so that's the OBC Linux-based operating system. This, what you see is let me see if I can take this out. This, what you see, is actually a AI cube. We call it AI cube. This is the AI accelerator, which is a NVIDIA or an NX. Now, if you look at, if you take an NVIDIA board and remove the pankha, the fan on top of it, it shuts down in 1 minute. But this guy, because we did some really cool technology to extract heat and conduct it out, this guy in the thermovac has been running for multiple days and doesn't shut down, right? And that is one of the key. Like, how do you ensure that the compute that we are sending to orbit works reliably? For reliability, you have to solve thermal part and also radiation part, right? For radiation, we did and in fact, this is the first payload we sent to orbit, where we tested our radiation shielding material. It had 0 micron, 4 micron, 50 micron, 100 micron. It was a coating we developed using PVD, vapor deposition, and we figured that our 100 micron thickness coating could reduce the net radiation coming in by a factor of 10, right? That means in your compute side, you experience 10x lesser radiation and hence 10x lesser impact. Your lifespan of a component goes by a factor of 10. So that's what our business is. We want to fundamentally ensure that we build the next generation affordable compute infrastructure for our customers, so that with the ever-growing demand for compute, they don't have to consume energy from Earth. They don't have to pollute the Earth because of the amount of heat that the data centers dump into the planet today, right? And space gives you that environment. In the future, what I believe is all the synchronous compute or the real-time compute is like when you open Instagram, when you sort of see your reels, that's the real time. You want to see the reel then. But the algorithm that decides what reel you should watch, that can happen in orbit. But seeing the reels, those compute will happen terrestrially because it's closer to the you. But the asynchronous compute can take it away, and that is what the aim is. And yeah, I hope we get to our vision soon. Thank you.
But satellites are just one part of the puzzle. Every mission needs three pillars: the satellite, the rocket that places it in orbit, and the ground stations to receive all of that data. Dhruva Space is one of the only Indian companies that is building all three. It's part of a larger push to make India not just a user of space technology, but a full stack supplier. I'm joined by Sanjay Nikanti, who is the co founder and CEO of Dhruva Space. Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start off by asking you, firstly, of course, about Dhruva Space and what you guys do, and secondly, about this kind of space race towards low Earth orbit. There seem to be a lot of satellites that are launching to low Earth orbit. So, what exactly is the significance behind this, and what is Dhruva's role to play in this entire race?
Thank you, Udit, for having me. See, at Dhruva, we primarily operate on the space launch and ground segments of the space value chain. On the space segment, we build satellite platforms ranging from 1 kilogram to about 250 odd kilograms. On the launch segment, we don't build rockets, but we build separation systems that enable our satellites to fly on different launch vehicles around the world. We've flown on PSLV from India. We've also flown on SpaceX Falcon 9 very recently. On the ground segment, we establish communication infrastructure at customer locations for operations of satellites. We also have a tool which enables customers to plug into a worldwide network of ground stations to operate satellites seamlessly. Coming to the question on what's all this about the proliferation of satellites into the low Earth orbit. See, low Earth orbit typically extends from about 400 to 800 kilometers above the Earth, so it is very closer to Earth. Predominantly what's been happening in the last 20, 30 years is initially it started with people launching a few satellites that would provide solutions for imaging, communication, weather from these altitudes. So starting early 2000s, what we've seen is people realized that instead of building one large satellite which costs hundreds of millions of dollars, what if we could build tiny satellites that could provide unfettered data seamlessly, like near real time from the low Earth orbit. Because it's closer to Earth, you can image at a higher resolution. You can refresh the technology every few years. It's easier to, relatively easier to put a satellite out there, so on and so forth. So these are some of the reasons which kind of enabled people to kind of utilize the low Earth orbit for providing or improving space-based solutions for problems on Earth.
Very interesting. And I also wanted to quickly follow up that with a question about India in particular. Where exactly is India primed in this entire space race towards low Earth orbit? Does the country have the right ingredients to actually be very competitive in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. See, I think as a country, we have achieved a lot of things in space. We have our own launch vehicle programs. We are sort of, as a country, a full stack player. We've sent missions to moon. Landed on the moon. We've sent missions to Mars, to the sun, and also Venus is upcoming. We have bold ambitions to have our own space station by 2035, which is a work in progress and full steam. We recently had an Indian astronaut go to space and come back. So I think India has all the ingredients that is necessary to kind of exploit this opportunity and solve for the problems of a billion people or more here in India. And I think ISRO has done a fantastic work over the last 4 or 5 decades, nurturing an ecosystem of more than 400 to 500 small and medium scale companies that have been acting as a backbone for this Indian space program itself. So today, what you're seeing is a new generation of entrepreneurs leveraging leveraging the ecosystem that's been created by ISRO, the support extended by the government to encourage private sector to leverage this ecosystem and, sort of do a rinse and repeat, right? And with a lot of allied sectors in the country also getting a lot of thrust, there India is poised to offer newer types of services using space, not just for India's own requirements but also global requirements. Case in point is utilization of AI on space in satellites, India's quantum mission, possibilities of using India-based quantum technologies in satellites, so on and so forth. I think the future looks extremely exciting, and I think when we started the company in 2012, we're the first company. Today, there are more than 300 companies that are working in this sector, and I think this will only multiply over the years to make us strong.
Thank you so much. I do have one last question for you. I'm sure that our viewers will also want to know what exactly is going on in the background. It seems like we're in this kind of mission control area. Can you just kind of talk about these different screens and what exactly you guys are tracking over here?
Yeah, sure. So this is a very interesting dashboard. So it's actually a combination of our tool called ISOX, which is essentially a software for operations of satellites, and there is also a tool called AstroView here. So something that we are extremely proud of is this particular tool that you see here. It's called AstroView. So what we do here is we aggregate data from over 300 odd satellites, and if you just draw polygon over the India map, it will actually show you what is the archived imagery of that location that is available, and what is the latest image that you can task a satellite to get it. The beauty is, you get the data in multiple spectral bands, so you can use your highest resolution 30 centimeter imagery to latest hyperspectral imagery, so on and so forth. And here also we use the ecosystem approach, so we do work with a lot of players globally and within India, and some of those data comes out here.
Skyroot Aerospace is actually at the center of India's private rocket revolution. The company is building small lift launch vehicles, which are also called rockets, that are designed to do what SpaceX doesn't do, which is basically offer flexible point to point launches for customers who don't need a massive rocket. Their first mission, which was called the Vikram S, flew in 2022. And this was to suborbit, which it didn't reach low Earth orbit, it reached suborbit. But the big test is Vikram 1, which is a 7-story orbital rocket built entirely by a private Indian space company. If it succeeds, Skyroot becomes the first private Indian rocket to reach low Earth orbit. And the economics are compelling. Each launch costs around $2 million, but it can also generate a revenue of up to 5 times that, depending upon both the payload and the orbit. And while SpaceX operates more like a train, carrying dozens of satellites to predetermined orbits, Skyroot positions itself as a cab service, delivering satellites exactly where the customers want them. The private space boom in India started only in 2020, when InSpace, which is the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, was created. It's the agency that authorizes private rocket launches, it opens ISRO facilities to startups, and it's been enabling India's private space boom. And since then, more than 150 space startups have begun operating. Now, Skyroot aims to be India's first private orbital rocket, while Dhruva is capturing the satellite value chain, and Take Me to Space is building data centers in the sky. If they deliver, India won't just participate in the LEO economy, it could become one of its key suppliers. Thank you so much for watching The Print. You can find this full report on India's nascent satellite industry on our website. For more such videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.